Planning Commission?
Yes, I do. Okay, I'm good to go whenever you're ready.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Timberville Town Council to order, February 11th, 2021. Welcome, everybody. AC, you want to go through the formalities of the authority to conduct meeting electronically, please?
Sure. Let's see here. All right, as always, as we've done for getting close to a year now, it seems like, the meeting will be conducted electronically. You can see it is permitted through the declaration of local emergency and several resolutions. They were extended and on November 12th of last year for an additional 6 months from the deadline of the original orders. All members of the town council, town staff, and guests are participating in the meeting by using the Zoom platform, and the meeting is being streamed for public viewing on the town's YouTube channel. Required notifications were sent out, and any votes tonight, as we have been doing, will be taken by roll call and will be recorded in the minutes.
Okay, thank you, AC. The first thing, as we always do, is we have our approval of minutes. We do have two sets this time: the special meeting that was called on January 11th and the regular meeting on January 14th, and we can approve them all at one time if the council so chooses. So I hope everyone's had a chance to review them. If there's any comments or questions, now's the time. If not, I need a motion to approve.
If there are none, I'll make a motion to approve both meetings.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Natalie, thank you. Okay, we'll do a roll call. Carl?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
Ned?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yeah.
And Clarence?
Yes.
Okay, thank you all for that. You also have attached the treasurer's report, and we'll be going a little more in detail on what the treasurer's report really means to us later on in the section under revenue review. But is there any questions for Melinda as far as her monthly treasurer's report? Okay. Seeing none. Now you have a list of bills for payment. If you've reviewed them and have any questions about any of the line items as far as the bills go. If not, I need a motion.
I make a motion, we pay the bill.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Natalie. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call. Carl?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
Ned?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yeah.
And Clarence?
Yes.
Okay, bills for payment. Chief, you got anything for us tonight?
Yeah, just two things. The first one, it ties into the second one. So as most of you probably know, the town police departments of Timberville, Broadway, Dayton, Bridgewater, and Grottoes have all been coordinating to a cooperative training group for quite some time, probably 12 to 15 years now. And by doing that, we're able to provide more instructors, more variety of instruction. A lot of it centers around high liability issues like taser and use of force, firearms, that kind of thing. We do other things, try to collaborate on first aid, CPR, that kind of thing. So training calendar kicked off this month past with training, which was conducted inside at the Northern Academy. And that I bring that up because one of the things that we highlighted, and part of that was force on force training using marking cartridges, kind of like a paintball gun type of a thing, with very specifically scripted scenarios for the officers to go through. And there is sometimes you hear criticism in the media about demanding that law enforcement do more scenario-based training and to do more things on mental health issues and de-escalation. And those are things that we've been training in this region. I'm not sure about the rest of the country, but in this region, those have been important issues, and those were touched on very specifically in that training. Some of you may be familiar with CIT or critical incident teams or critical incident training. So those scenarios, several of them were meant to elicit a response from the officer that was in line with that. So those concerns that are in the news sometimes are warranted in the fact that we need to make sure that we're doing them. But I and the other chiefs and trainers in this county with the towns take a lot of pride in the fact that we've been doing that for more than a decade and a half. So to try to stay ahead and provide the appropriate kind of services to the community. So that has kicked off the calendar year. There will be 4 sets of training specifically centered around use of force, including scenario-based training. The transitions into my second point, which Austin should have sent out a little bit of a note and a copy of a proposed form to allow purchase of ammunition to be used for training specifically by the officers. The reason I'm proposing that is twofold. One of them is that adults don't learn skills by going to an 8-hour class and then never touching on it again. Adults acquire skills and then master those skills by shorter, more regular intervals of training. So one of the things that the town training group amongst all 5 departments has decided to do is there are actually 14 days that we have set aside on the calendar on Saturdays where there's approximately a 4-hour block of time that the officers can come to the indoor range at the North Academy and get extra training. Now, if there's someone who's struggling, they'll have an instructor there to work with them to help make them more proficient. If they're already a good marksman, then we'll work on things that are more advanced. But they will have the opportunity to do that. Along with that, because it is kind of, have an instructor lead them, so it will be led time, but it will also be up to them what they want the instructor to help them with. I want them to be able to work with handguns they may carry off duty. If you watch the news, people are assaulted not just here, but around the country at times when they don't expect it. The demeanor towards law enforcement, unfortunately, has shifted over the last decade or so. So most law enforcement officers are carrying off-duty firearms. And that's something that they are required to qualify every year in order to show that they're proficient with that particular weapon. So that fits into this training. I want them to have the opportunity to do that. A lot of them will carry a small gun that does not use the same ammunition that we carry with our gun that we carry every day. So I would like for them to be able to buy ammo for their backup guns, for their off-duty guns, solely for training, as it spells out in the form. But for them to be able to use on regular training days, but also these extra training days.
Okay. Anybody have, I guess I got one question for you. Where do you do this escalation training at, Chief?
So a lot of it has come through CIT and other trainings. One of the places that I've received a lot of training is through Alert, which is an organization out of Texas A&M. And they push out things like dealing with critical incidents as civilians, dealing with active shooter events as law enforcement. And so de-escalation is a big part of that, because if an officer goes into a violent scene and all of a sudden the violence stops, meaning the person that's shooting or driving the car through a crowd, all of a sudden they stop that behavior, the officer has to be able to transition from an aggressive physical act to now being able to use, the old verbal judo's been around for decades and decades. So it's CIT is the most clearly delineated example of that, but it gets touched on many other things such as active shooter.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Back to the form. I'm assuming everyone had a chance to review the form. Unfortunately, we live in a time where an officer can't go out and buy ammo anymore, and you almost have to do it this way because there's no ammo available for an officer to train, which is a shame. Anyone have any questions on the chief's form about what his intention is for ammunition to be provided for training purposes for our officers?
Don,
At their cost.
you added there that is the availability locally is very low. If you go into the gun shops, there's basically no ammunition on the shelves, and what ammunition there is extremely expensive, cost prohibitive, very much so. So that those were the two reasons that I put.
Okay. Now, AC, I'm assuming we'll need a motion to allow this. Is that correct? Is that what we're looking for?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, then we need a motion to allow the chief to proceed.
I make a motion to proceed with the officer ammunition purchase form request.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Any further discussion? Then we'll do a roll call. Carl,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Ned,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
and Clarence.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
No problem, chief. Let's see, keep moving. AC, are we ready? I mean, I know you have some public works stuff.
Was
why don't
Chief
you go ahead
done,
and-
was Chief done with everything?
I think so. You done, chief?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Okay.
Let's see here. I think I saw Bill was on here. I see Bill on here. I don't know that maybe Max isn't going to be available, but let's go ahead and we're at that point where we could go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start with welcome, Bill.
Good evening.
So is Max not going to be joining us this evening? Is it just you this evening?
I thought he was, but maybe he had something come up. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and go. Let's go ahead and go with this, Don.
Okay. Okay. I guess as far as you have a recommendation from the Planning Commission, correct, AC?
Right. So the Planning Commission, after the public hearing, the Planning Commission met the following 2 weeks actually after the public hearing, I believe it was, and discussed the master plan and had Max and Bill in on the conversation to answer any questions. They've sent over new sets of the plans and all the paperwork that supports it. All of the comments that the town made, they addressed any of the concerns we had. And they also sent over the responses that they had supplied to VDOT, which looks like it addressed all of VDOT's concerns and then any concerns that the county had. So it looks like they have addressed all of the comments from all the different parties that have a hand in this process. I did receive one more call from after the public hearing, just a day or two ago, from a resident on Irish Lane expressing concern about traffic. I asked her to provide an email to me so I could forward to council, but I didn't receive anything. So I don't have anything to go on record there. There was a question in the public hearing about the water pressure. Some of the comments that we received about water pressure and how it would be affected by adding these new homes. We had our engineer run the calculations and model the system with these proposed new homes. And it came back that there would be a 0.1 pound per square inch of pressure that we would lose. So 1/10 of a pound of pressure, which is completely negligible. You would never notice that in a home system. So the water system's good as far as the pressures.
I think you froze up, AC. Linda, I don't have my cell on me. Do you mind calling AC and see if he can get back on? I don't know if he dropped off, please. I guess while we're waiting for AC, is there any questions for Bill as far as the subdivision that people have thought of since the last meeting? Okay, seeing none. Bill, I'm assuming, I think AC might have mentioned it when he stopped talking there at one spot. That one water line was relocated on Irish Lane, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. After we had our first submittal, which was essentially bringing all the water line onto our property from the lower area, we talked to Public Works there in Timberville and our developer, Max Van Arswalt, the applicant.
Okay.
All worked out an agreement to just run a new line down Irish Lane, which seems to work out well in everybody's favor.
I think it helps us out. I appreciate that. It helps the town out too, because we get a larger line and it's, it just helps everything else. So appreciate you all helping us out there. Welcome back, AC.
I'm back on my phone. The joys of technology, right?
Okay, I only had a question about that one water line on Irish Lane, and Bill already answered that. I think you talked about it, but the thing blacked out for a little bit. So I guess we're looking, any other questions before we look for a motion? Okay, then I need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ned. Okay, any further discussion? Then we'll do a roll call. Carl?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
Ned?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yeah.
And Clarence?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bill.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks for all your hard work and working with us. We appreciate it.
Great. Looking forward to it. Y'all have a good evening.
Okay, thank you. AC, you got anything else in Public Works? I know we read Chris's list, nice long list of stuff he was getting done.
Hold on.
Let's see here. One thing that I think I put that in the memo. Would council desire for the Planning Commission to continue discussion about the occupancy limits situation?
Yes.
I agree. I think Mark said something was in Harrisonburg, and I think Ned said something also to that was in, where was it, Ned?
Fairfax, I believe.
Fairfax. Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
It is a touchy situation about how you do it because, you know, family versus, I don't know. It's something that needs discussion, I feel. I think.
Okay.
Council.
That's what I needed on that. Let's see. I am going to be getting bids from contractors or quotes from contractors on the demolition for the building there at the corner of Church Street and Main Street. That's I've had meetings, quite a few meetings with EPA and DEQ representatives, county representative, county building official, and they're giving me some pretty good guidance on how we proceed with this thing, and they're going to be very supportive, it sounds like, as we go through this process. But it's been so long since we had the quote from the one contractor. We'll have to go out and get quotes again. This is not going to be an inexpensive procedure that we go through to get that building removed. So we're talking about, with our budget meetings and stuff, we're going to be looking at doing budget amendments to cover some other things. So I'm going to try to get all that information, get all those quotes together before we have our budget meeting, or before we have the budget amendment hearing, so that we can include all that stuff and get that taken care of.
Yeah, I know we budgeted some amount. I don't remember, it was 20 or 30,000 a budget ago, and I'd rather just redo it again and have it in a new budget so we know exactly what we have. So now, is the DEQ covering the cost of any contaminants, I guess?
So the way it works is EPA really is the regulating agency on the hazardous materials from that aspect. So EPA really pushes for the property owner to have their contractor take care of the removal and disposal of any kind of hazardous materials because it's considerably cheaper for the property owner to do that. EPA will come in and do it, but then what they do, if they have to come in and do it, then they will seek reimbursement from the property owner. Same as we would with any of the costs that we would incur.
Okay.
The problem is that, you know, if whatever we incur in this process, if there's a vacant lot left at the end, that vacant lot's probably not going to be. I would speculate that vacant lot's not going to be anywhere close to the value of what the cost would be that we might incur.
And how do you get back the remaining amount, Quentin? Oh, it's not coming through, Quentin, for some reason.
How about now?
There you go.
Yeah, had the mic button off. You'd have to sue the current landowner. I mean, you'd get the property and then you'd have a deficiency balance. You'd go after it, you'd get a judgment, whatever that would be worth.
Okay. Okay. So there's tools that allow us to go in.
I mean, I would say that your likelihood of getting a piece of paper saying you're owed money is very high. Your likelihood of actually getting money is very low.
Okay. At least that's honest. But, okay. Anything else they see as far as that goes?
That's pretty much up to date on that. The office will be closed for business on Monday for President's Day. Throw that out there real quick. And we do want to have a budget meeting. We can discuss that when we get to the end of this meeting, as far as going through all the different the explanations and stuff. So we can talk about the date for the budget meeting at that point.
Okay. Okay. The only thing I had to add, and it's in the note, Chris and work crew are starting on the, I don't know what to call it, the building, the sporting complex or whatever. They're starting on that now. They started laying some block inside and partitioning some of the rooms off. They've removed all the utilities that are in there, and the goal for that is to get hopefully get the interiors buttoned up and done by late spring, and by early summer have the thing done and complete. That's our goal. And myself and AC and Melinda and Chris and everyone got together, got some quotes from different people, and put together a rough budget, which Melinda sent out to everyone, so we keep track of the money we're spending and where it's going. And as we know, 75,000 of that money is from pilgrims, which we appreciate. And Chris wanted a little bit of extra money in there to make sure he has and cover all his expenses while having to come back to the council for every other dollar and that sort of thing. So, but we still have, like, I think 69,000 left from the original park expenditure. So we're still good as far as that goes. I guess any more public works questions or anything before we move down to a proclamation that we have? Okay.
It should be good as far as on my end anyway.
Okay, thank you. Ned, you were wanting to take part in this proclamation, sir?
Yes, I would, the town of Timberville, Virginia proclamation. Whereas in early 1921, over 1,000 farmers in Rockingham County gathered to come to a resolution for unfair and unprofitable prices on fertilizer, and vowed to cooperatively purchase fertilizer at affordable prices from area suppliers. And from that meeting, an organization formed of 268 original members in Rockingham County. Excuse me. And whereas Rockingham Cooperative acted as a guide and example for other area cooperatives in and around Rockingham County and across the county on how to empower and excite an agricultural community. And whereas the presence of Rockingham Cooperative in its community since 1921 shows the importance of agriculture in the communities it serves and the value of a cooperative to local residents. And whereas Rockingham Cooperative has supplied farm supplies, feed, fertilizer, and all supplies needed for agricultural pursuits over its history and business with the intent to make a meaningful impact on the operations and member owners that work with the cooperative. And whereas Rockingham Cooperative has proven its value and stood the test of time by providing a valued service to its member owners and customers for the past 100 years. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Don DeLauder, on behalf of the Timberville Town Council, do proclaim February 23rd, 2021, the day of that original meeting of area farmers in Rockingham County that started the cooperative movement as Rockingham Cooperative Day in honor of the 100th anniversary of the cooperative. Done in and for the town of Timberville, Virginia, this 11th day of February 2021. And I would
Okay.
move that we adopt this proclamation.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who's that, Carl?
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? I mean, this is amazing, 100 years. I think the only other one was maybe the banks passed that, right, AC?
I believe so.
Yeah, so we have a motion, a second. Let's do a roll call vote. Carl,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Ned,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yeah.
and Clarence.
Yes.
Okay, and AC, let's make sure we get it on our nice new board too on that day.
Absolutely.
Have her put it on there. Congratulations to the co-op for 100 fantastic years.
And I'll get with you, Don, to sign a couple copies of these things so that we can present them to the co-op then.
Yeah, let's get one signed and get it framed, and we'll take it down and give it to them.
Okay.
Is that working, Ned? You want to join when we do that?
Sure.
As business and industry? Okay. Okay, now that's it through most of the meeting. I did have Melinda work up. This is kind of a refresher for everybody and an introduction for Debbie and Clarence. Your first budget review can be kind of overwhelming at first. So I asked Melinda to work up a form. Well, I didn't ask her, she worked it up. Worked up a form showing what all that her savings balances mean. So AC, you want to pop that up real quick, and Melinda just go through it real quick, and you don't have to read the whole thing.
Bear with me for a second, since everything popped out. Everything's
That's okay.
a little bit wonky, so hold on one second here.
We couldn't be any other way, right?
That's right. All right, for some reason that one doesn't want to work. Let's see if. Okay, we'll try this one and see if you all tell me. I'm going to try to get this up there.
Okay.
All right. So I do not have a way, because of getting kicked out and going back in, I don't have a way to share that. Let me do it this way.
We're gonna try.
We'll get really fancy on this thing.
AC, I can do it on my screen if you want to make me a co-host.
Yeah, and that was the problem. I could have done it on my computer screen. I'm just not sure how I do that with the.
I don't think that's going to work your way you're doing it, AC. It's going to be.
It's not going to take over the screen. It's just showing up in your box.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Quentin, can you tell me what I need to do to?
You just need to either enable screen sharing or make me a co-host. Or transfer hosting, one of those three.
Technology, something.
Yeah, especially when you've never had to do this part of it before.
And it's different on the phone than it is on the computer, I know.
Right.
I'm glad you two are the one doing it.
Trying to think if there's a way for me to request it, but I don't think there is.
I can just read some of it if you want me to.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a copy of the treasurer's report and you might have the copy she marked up. I'll just have Melinda go through that and AC
Sure.
and see if they can do the share for the next part.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Melinda.
Okay, so basically I just went through line by line and gave explanations of each of the accounts. The general account is made up of revenue deposits such as mills tax, sales tax, communication tax, utility and consumption tax, real estate taxes, personal property taxes, cigarette tax, business license, and trash payments. Same thing with the water account. The revenue deposits are made up of water payments and sewer payments, and also connection fees. Both of those accounts, the balance, once it's reported on the treasurer's report, is reflected after the list of bills are paid. The loan balance is a balance for that we have through Farmers and Merchants Bank. It's for the repayment of an existing revolving line of credit. The loan was started on March 24th, 2017. The interest rate is 2.65% for the first 5 years of the loan. After the initial 5-year period, the interest rate will adjust to the 5-year Treasury constant maturity plus 2.28% for the remaining term of the loan. And that has a cap of, it has a cap on it with the rate of 2% to not exceed 4.65% for that loan. The Caterpillar financial bill was for the purchase of the mini excavator. The interest rate is 2%, and that will be paid off in on August 29th of 2022. The American Legion Park balance is we make a yearly payment of $5,000 to the Community Foundation, and that was for the purchase of the American Legion Park back in 2017. The money market account is essentially our savings account, and that consists of we transfer water and sewer connection fees into that account. And that interest rate is 0.65%. When we first started it, it was a lot higher, but it has actually went down a good bit. But we are still collecting 0.65% for that. And then down at the bottom, I always give an update of how much interest we gain on the money market account for the previous month. And then I will give any other updates of information that is financial related in that section.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And just some more little things on it. The loan balance started out as 1.5 million a few years back. I think it's been more like 10 years back. I'm not really sure the date it started. But we took a loan to do the Church Street water improvements, the water tower, many improvements, the loop where this new subdivision's going, and things like that. I think it was 5 or 6 projects. And we paid down roughly $100,000 a year, maybe a little bit over. The reason we had the loan for the CAT financing is at the time of getting the equipment, we were getting a higher interest rate than we were paying interest on the equipment. So it made more sense to keep your money in savings because you're getting more interest on your money. And the American Legion balance, when we send it to that company, what the agreement we had with the American Legion is we provide $5,000 to this group that then distributes it to donations around the community, different areas, the Boy Scouts and things like that. So it basically goes to them and they distribute that money to. So our $5,000 ends up coming back to the community through this nonprofit organization. I guess that's what it's called, a nonprofit organization. And like Melinda said, the money market account is basically when we have development, we charge water and sewer hookups, and that's where that goes. And that's what the town typically uses for our capital improvements. You know, we don't want to get into, we do never want to get in the habit of paying our everyday bills with capital improvement money. You need to bring in enough to pay your everyday bills, just like you do at your house. You bring in enough money to pay your everyday bills, and your savings goes for that extra stuff that you need. So that's what we have in for money market. Any questions? I know it's a lot fast, but at least we'll have a little bit of understanding when we go into our meetings at the end of the month. Anyone have any questions on any of the savings and things like that? Okay. I know it's a little quick, a lot to absorb right now, but we do have, I think the town does a very good job of managing our money and making sure we're getting the best out of everything we do. AC, did you figure that out yet?
No.
Okay. I guess the other one we had, and I'll just have the council review it. You received, let me see, I'll pull up my computer. You received something from AC showing, we have 2.118 million in revenue. And the sheet that he sent you basically shows where our revenue resources are, where we get our revenue. And it's not just, it's water, the higher ones are water, sewer, water, meals, real estate, and sanitation fees, and sales tax. So it gives you an idea where our money comes from. So when we get into our budget and we have a shortfall or we need to get more money somewhere, you'll be able to tell where the avenues are to, or if we need to get money somewhere else, where those options are. Okay. Everybody's still there because all I see is AC now.
I see everybody else, and I think everybody else is still here. Yeah.
Okay. All I see is you now, AC. So that's my equipment. Okay. Anybody? I guess just take a moment, review that prior to the council meeting. We're going to have our budget meeting at the end of the month. I don't think we picked a date yet. AC, you'll get with everybody.
We've thrown out the date of February 25th, which is a Thursday evening.
Okay.
How does that work for everybody?
It works for me.
What time did you have in mind?
I'm not sure who. I know Natalie's usually one that has later commitments, work commitments. So Natalie, what's your schedule? What's the earliest you can do?
Oh gosh. On Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
If I need to, I might be able to leave work a little early because we have been just slammed lately. So I can work later on Friday and probably get to the town hall around maybe 5. If that works for people.
What do y'all think?
Yeah. No, I can't get there by 5 o'clock because I am providing childcare till at least 5:30.
Okay. Let's shoot for 6:30. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
I'll definitely work.
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
Will it be virtual or in person at the town office?
That's a good question. I'll have to let you know on that one. After tonight's issues, it would be good to do it in person, but we'll have to see. I'll have to do some measuring in the room and see if we can get spread out far enough and all that. So
We can get
and obviously it's an open meeting, so if anybody shows up, we have to take into account anyone that would be in the audience.
Can the fact that we're streaming it, that doesn't count?
It would.
Okay, so
are you saying where we could meet, where the council can meet in person and we can stream the meeting?
Right.
Like we did before.
Yeah,
we
it's
can.
open. Yeah, it's open, but they'll have to call in if they have a question. I think that's the way. I prefer doing that way because it's easier to do. We don't have IT issues and things like that.
Right, and we don't, during a budget work session, we don't have public comment. So
right. So it'll all be filmed and it'll be documented. So I think it'll probably be covered. And most of the stuff we'll be talking about this time, Melinda, remind us what we're going to be going over this time. I can't see anybody and except for AC. So
AC is going to do an overview like Bob usually would do. We're going to talk about the budget amendment.
Mhm.
And you said you wanted the wish list of the department heads.
Right, exactly. So, and again, after that, usually AC doesn't present the actual, he helps work up the budget, but usually it's with, gives us a couple months to work on it. But it should be a fairly quick meeting, that one. It won't be many hours like some of them are, but I plan for maybe 2 hours max, I'd say. We can't get it done in 2 hours. We'll have to stop and do it another day because that's a long time to be in a meeting.
Mhm.
But it'll give AC some direction when he actually puts the budget together. What are the important things for our future spending? Also, what I'd like to do this year, if we can work it out, is with everything going on, we haven't had a chance for the committees to meet. And I'd love for it to be where the Public Works Committee and the police committees could get together. And when we get together, like the month after, those two committees can come back with recommendations, what they suggest we spend our monies on this year. And, you can spend some personal time with Chris and the chief working through that. So, but we'll talk more about that when we get together next, I guess, week after next, I guess it is. Okay. Any other questions at all from anybody? It's kind of strange. All I can see is whoever just talked last, and it's Melinda now with this computer. Okay. Any other things we need to discuss with the council? Okay. Thank you, everybody. And our meeting is adjourned. Thank you. I have no idea how to turn it